Isi.
Mbak Ais tadi suaranya hilang. Sorry, jadi diulang. Coba. Sekarang suaranya belum ada.
Sekarang masuk nggak, Kak? Apa hilang lagi?
Masuk, masuk. Sekarang udah.
Oke, siap.
Mbak Ais mati lagi, Mbak.
Sekarang masuk.
Masuk, masuk.
Oke,
Masuk.
terima kasih, Mas Ekar. Saya lanjutkan. Mohon maaf. Perkenalkan, saya Kurnia Aziza yang akan memandu jalannya acara webinar hari ini dalam rangkaian Pre-Departure Series Visa Preparation yang diselenggarakan oleh PPI Hungaria. Webinar ini bertujuan untuk membantu teman-teman awardee memahami proses pengajuan visa pelajar di Hungaria agar perjalanan kalian menuju studi di negeri paprika bisa berjalan lancar. Baiklah, untuk membuka acara secara resmi, kita akan mendengarkan sambutan dari Ketua PPI Hungaria periode 2025-2026 kepada Kak Nima De Amelia. Kami persilakan dengan hormat.
Terima kasih Mbak Ais atau Mbak Aziza. Um, Thank you for Miss Patricia for coming. I think I would like to use Bahasa Indonesia for this opening. Selamat pagi dan salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Yang terhormat, para narasumber, para peserta webinar, serta para rekan-rekan pengurus PPI yang saya banggakan. Pertama, kita panjatkan puji syukur kehadirat Tuhan Yang Maha Esa karena berkat rahmatnya kita semua bisa berkumpul secara daring untuk mengikuti acara webinar hari ini. Saya atas nama PPI ingin mengucapkan selamat datang kepada seluruh peserta dan selamat kepada seluruh awardee. Webinar ini merupakan komitmen kami untuk membantu teman-teman yang sedang menjalani atau yang akan menjalani proses studi ke luar negeri ya, khususnya dalam mempersiapkan dokumen dan proses pembuatan visa. Semoga dari pemaparan narasumber nanti kita bisa lebih interaktif ya untuk sesi tanya jawab dan memberikan gambaran yang jelas karena di grup banyak sekali pertanyaan-pertanyaan yang mungkin masih membingungkan. Dan terima kasih juga untuk teman-teman panitia dari pengurus yang sudah menyiapkan acara. Semoga acara ini berjalan lancar dan saya kembalikan lagi ke Mbak Ais sebagai MC. Terima kasih.
Oke. Terima kasih kepada Kak Amelia atas sambutan hangat dan semangat yang telah disampaikan. Kami sampaikan lagi bahwa untuk webinar kali ini dipersilahkan untuk turn on your camera device dan show reaction jika ingin bertanya. Nanti akan ada sesi Q&A dan boleh disampaikan secara langsung atau boleh disampaikan melalui chat. Selanjutnya, kita akan memasuki sesi inti webinar hari ini. Untuk itu, saya serahkan acara ini kepada moderator kita, Muhammad Asif Alizarzadi, yang akan memandu jalannya diskusi dan sesi bersama para narasumber. Kepada Saudara Asif, waktu dan layar kami persilakan.
Terima kasih Mbak Ais dan Mbak Amel sebelumnya. So, in order to start today, the core session of our webinar series, I would like to say hello for everyone. Good afternoon from Indonesia and good morning for you who stayed up in Hungary. First of all, I would like to welcome all of the participants in our first pre-departure webinar series, which is going to talk about visa application and document translation. And I would like to say congratulations also to all of the awardees of Stipendium Hungaricum. You deserved it. And I am Muhammad Asif Ali Zarzadi, will act as your moderator in this webinar. Today's session will be divided into two parts and will be presented by two speakers. The first session, related to the visa application process, will be presented by Ms. Patricia Pankovic. I hope that I pronounced your names correctly. She completed her bachelor degree in Japanese studies at ELTE, or at Fosloran University, and her MA in East Asian Studies at Corvinus University. She also attended the Hungarian Diplomatic Academy in the cohort of 2020 and 2021. As for her work experience, she started working in 2017 and is currently employed at the Embassy of Hungary in Jakarta as a consul, cultural, and educational attaché. The speaker for the second session, related to the document translation, Ms. Abdelia Prima Shahla. She also completed her bachelor degree at Lia University in 2022, and she currently works at Lia University as a staff member at the Language Center. So, without any further ado, let's begin our first session. For Ms. Patricia, the floor is yours.
Okay, Selamat Pagi for those who are listening to this from Budapest, and Selamat Sore for those ones who are in Indonesia together with us. So thank you for the introduction. I'm Patricia Pankovic, already 2.5 years at the embassy in Jakarta. That means I already overseen the visa applications for the Stipendium Hungaricum for the past 2 years. And I also have my colleague, Ibu Renata, with me, who has been with the embassy for longer than the scholarship program has started. So basically, she has seen every Stipendium Hungaricum visa application. So hopefully, we can help you with your application. For the rundown, I thought that first I would like to go through the application because we already know what are those points that are usually not filled out, or for which points we are receiving the most questions during the application period. And I also listed a couple of questions that we get asked the most often. So I would like to talk about those points separately as well. And also, since we haven't announced the dates for the application at the embassy, we would like to open some group application dates for those awardees who already have their award letter for the beginning of July. And for those who might not have received it yet because they are still waiting for their diploma or something, we would also want to announce one for the second half of July, because according to our experience, by then usually everybody has the documents for the applications ready. So without further ado, I would like to ask if already everyone has seen the application form before, right? Because we sent it out. Hopefully it was received by each awardee. We got the email addresses from Tempus, so everybody should have been on the list. And I actually have it with me, so I would just go through it really quickly. I don't think it's very long. 6 pages, but the 6th one is for the authorities to fill out anyway. And one of the first questions we receive regarding the application, whether it has to be typewritten or handwriting is fine as well. It's completely up to the applicants. You can fill it out however you want. If you prefer to handwrite, we recommend block letters, capital letters, because it's easier for the immigration to understand your handwriting that way. But for the signature, it has to be handwritten on the front page of the application, and as well as on the last few pages. And one question we sometimes receive is the first, it's for you, I think most of you, or almost all of you, is going to be the first time issuance of a residence permit, unless you are already studying in Hungary and continuing studies on a different level. So for that, there is this data that you have to fill out: border crossing point as place of entry, date of entry. Most of you will not have the exact date, I believe, because you are not required to buy the flight ticket when you apply for the visa. In most cases, we do not even recommend having the flight ticket first, because you do not know the exact date you will receive the visa. So you can just put the year and the month on this form. It's not really necessary to put concrete date as well. This one. But very important to put a working phone number and email address on the application, because in some cases, if the immigration is asking for any clarification or extra document, they would send that letter to the embassy and we would need to send it out to you. So, but I think for stipendium students, it is usually not a problem. It's more of a problem if somebody applies via an agent and they would put the agent's number instead of the applicant's number there. Okay. For points number 1 and 2, those are rather simple because it's personal data of the applicant as well as the passport data. So I don't think that really needs an explanation. For number 3, which is the residence in Hungary, it is important that you input it based on the documents the university provide, because you will receive a paper with your legal address in Hungary together with the acceptance letter, and that would serve as your legal address while you are in Hungary. So if it's not written correctly, you will later need to go to the immigration to have it corrected. For number 4, the health insurance, the Stipendium Hungaricum awardees all receive comprehensive health insurance for the full period of their studies. So you can choose other on the form and mention that it's provided by the SH scholarship. And number 6 is once again non-applicable because at the moment, family reunification is not possible. This is something that's very frequently asked questions. So I'm gonna talk about this later on to see if there is any exceptions from the rule. For number 7, it's your address in Indonesia. So we usually advise applicants to put it according to your KTP. Yeah. After that, it's a simply yes or no question. So I don't think that requires any explanation. One important point is number 9. We usually receive extra document request from the immigration if the planned duration of stay is not written correctly. For example, let's say you are a master student, so your studies would be 2 years in most cases. So if you write 3 or 4 years, they would ask you to issue a letter of clarification that you are asking for the permit for your period of studies. Or in some cases, we have seen that somebody is going for PhD, so obviously they will stay longer in Hungary, but their passport would expire in the meantime. So in this case, the permit would be first issued for the passport validity, and once you are in Hungary, you can extend it. So that's not a problem at all. And for the appendix, you're gonna need to be attaching 9.13, so student mobility or pursuing studies. And then after that, it is only signatures, but it's very important to fill out number 12. This is a new addition to the form. They only added this last year after our immigration law was changed. And the form is a bit unfortunate because there are no brackets, but there is a short space in the text where you actually have to write Indonesia as the country that you would be returning if your permit is not valid anymore, and mark state of my citizenship. I think that would be applicable for most of you unless somebody's habitual residence is outside of Indonesia at the moment. And the rest of the form is actually for the immigration to fill out, so it's not the embassy. Then we have the appendix, which is even more simple than the application form because basically you just need to input information regarding your current studies, your institution in Hungary, as well as your language knowledge. So for those who, I think almost everybody received the full scholarship. I haven't really seen anybody among the awardees for partial studies, maybe one person, if I'm being correct. So the first part would not be needed because that applies for exchange students spending typically one semester in Hungary. And it's basically host institutions, so your university in Hungary and their address, as well as the level of your studies, S1, S2, and your current Indonesian or previous Indonesian university, which you have just graduated for, or high school for those who are starting bachelor in Hungarian, and your language proficiency, which I will also talk about later for the frequently asked questions. And for number 5, information about means of subsistence in Hungary, you will have the scholarship, but you can also mark if you also have savings or your close relatives have savings and are supporting you for your studies. This is also one of the frequently asked questions, and we have seen some issues with sponsorship letters before, so I will talk about that later. And at the end of the appendix, you can also mark the stipendium scholarship as other additional income, properties or assets as means of subsistence. And now I want to talk about separate, I think I have written 5 separate topics that are the most commonly asked in email or even during the submissions. One of them is the insurance. So at the time of the visa application, you are not required to have an insurance because it is understood by the immigration that, especially since you are going to Hungary for a longer term, you would be joining the Hungarian health insurance system once you are in Hungary, and the scholarship actually entitles you to that. But it is recommended to have a general travel insurance for the first month, from departing from Indonesia, because it can take some time until you actually get covered by the insurance. For this, we can also provide a list, but basically any insurance would suffice at least with 30,000 euro coverage for Schengen area. Another really frequently asked question is about language certificates. So it is not mandatory to have an English language certificate, but you have to provide some documents that prove linguistic knowledge. It can be also a degree from an English-speaking country, or if your course was taught in English and it is stated in your diploma, that is also sufficient. And actually, the immigration website mentions or any other credible means. So if you neither have a diploma from an English taught major or do not have a language certificate at the moment, you can also add other documents. We have seen recently with some exchange students who are going for a one-semester exchange that although currently they do not have a diploma from an English school yet, all their courses are in English here in Indonesia. So the university just made a certificate for them stating that they have been in a fully Englishly taught program, so their language knowledge is sufficient enough to follow classes in English while they are in Hungary. Another very often asked question is regarding the bank statements. We received these questions both from scholarship awardees as well as self-funded applicants regarding what is a minimum balance for being accepted for the visa. And to be honest, with the Stipendium Hungaricum scholarship students, I would say that there is no such thing as a minimum balance, because the immigration knows that this is the flagship program from the Hungarian government. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that we started accepting Indonesian students with the stipendium program since 2016, and there was not a single applicant who was denied because of financials. I think that is, I think that is correct. So even if the balance is quite low, let's say they not gonna view it as other student visa application for self-funded students. They check those more strictly because they know that they are already paying tuition, so they would be paying for the living expenses on their own as well. But sorry, I've just seen the chat that we also received some questions, so I will. I think that ones might be. Should I answer those at the end of the session, because I have seen that there is a Q&A after University Leah's presentation.
Yeah, I believe we would have like a Q&A session right after all of the session.
Okay, then I will look through the questions later on. So,
okay.
So for the bank statement, you still have to attach a document, but the balance is not really important. And if somebody wants to attach a spouse or a parent's bank statement instead, that is fine as well. But the rules are different because in Hungary, if it's an uncle or a grandparent sponsoring you, the immigration will not consider it as a family, like close family member who is eligible to supporting you because of the Hungarian laws. It's only the immediate family that is in charge to support their family members. But as mentioned, for stipendium students, this is really not that important because you do not really have to prove that you have a lot of savings available. And one other question, I think most of you or everyone already knows that right now family reunification is not possible for student visa holders. This has been since January 1st, 2024, when we had our immigration law changed. So ever since, it's not possible for students. We do not really see any changes for this in the near future. And luckily for this year, it was already something that was already public by the time of the application. For the last year, it was quite unfortunate because when the application period started in November, it was still possible, but by the time the results were announced, it was already not possible. So a lot of people were not aware of this during the time of their application. But there is one really small exception made only for those students where both the mother and the father is a scholarship holder in Hungary and they have underage children. We have seen, we do not have personal experience with this here in Indonesia, but in other countries we have seen that in this kind of case, the immigration office would grant a student visa for the children as long as they already find an international school willing to accept the kid. So I know that this is only relevant for maybe a very few applicants, but useful info to know for the future. And these are the frequently asked questions, the most frequently asked ones in email. And I would like to also add some notes regarding the application. So we hope that almost everyone will have their award letter and will be able to submit in July. We will propose multiply dates later on. Maybe I will also write it in the chat so people can see and discuss. We were thinking as early as next week, like the end of next week, if most people already have their LOA, and some other dates in the middle of July and the end of July. For stipendium awardees, usually it doesn't really take long to have the visas accepted. The shortest we have seen was like 5 days, and even for most cases, it really doesn't take longer than 2-3 weeks. But it really depends on which university you are going to because the applications are decided by the respective regional offices. So for those going to Budapest, I would say that they will receive the most applications because most of the universities are located there, so they might be more busy. Szeged and Pécs are also quite popular among the students, so they will receive more applications than Miskolc or Debrecen, for example. And regarding the application, because this is a new type of question we didn't really see in the past year, but some people have been asking whether you need to apply for the visa first, and once you are in Hungary, you would be applying for the residence permit, but no, there is only one application. You apply at the embassy for the residence permit, and you will get a one-time entry visa once your resident permit application is already accepted. So basically, it's two in one. Once you are in Hungary, you would not need to do any further administration. You just visit the immigration office, the respective immigration office, and pick up the permit. This is usually also for international students. Usually the international office is helping the students either by picking up the permits for them or taking all the students there together. That's how is it in our experience. And not usually, but there is 30 days for picking up the permit that would let you stay in Hungary as well as travel in Europe once you are arriving to Hungary. But it's very important that the visa that you will get issued at the embassy is a D visa, so it's only valid for Hungary. So the entry point to Schengen has to be via Hungary. You cannot fly to Vienna and enter on the land border because you would not have a visa for Vienna. So basically there is only 3 options at the moment because only 3 companies fly to Hungary, or might be a bit more, but that have connections outside of Schengen. Okay, I think this is what I wanted to say for now. I will read through the chat to be able to answer your questions later on.
Yeah, and then go back to the...
Thank you so much, Ms. Patricia, for all of the insight that you gave for the applicant for the visa. Because the Q&A session will be held like after the second session, so this time I would like to welcome Ms. Ardelia for the second session about the document translation. For Ms. Ardelia, the floor is yours. Excuse me, Miss Ardelia. Bu Ardelia.
Bu Ardelia, apakah sudah siap?
Halo, permisi Bu Ardelia. Halo.
Asif, sepertinya
Ya,
Bu Adelia masih di luar, jadi mungkin kita conduct Q&A untuk Bu Patricia aja.
okay. Miss Patricia, because Miss Ardelia are
Okay,
not
yeah.
ready yet, I think if you are able to answer some question from the chat box, we could
Yeah,
conducting.
that is fine
Yeah.
with us. So for the first question from Miss Teresia, no, you don't need to fill out number 6 on the application form. That would be only needed if you are actually bringing family members. So definitely not needed. And for Mas Johannes, we received the email this morning, so please give us some time and we will get back to you with all the answers, as well as we have a checklist which was already sent to the awardees, and we will also share it with you. We have a separate checklist for self-funded students.
Oh, self-funded.
Yes. And for Devera?
For different.
Deferred students, so it's like
What is it? College.
so sorry, for deferred student, do you mean that you received a conditional offer from the university or from Tempus because that usually means that in order to be eligible for the scholarship, you would need to fulfill some condition. I see your hand, so you can clarify.
Hello, thank you. Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, you are, but maybe you can make your voice louder a little bit.
Okay. Sorry. Am I audible now? Is it?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're audible.
Okay, so thank you. Okay, so yeah, I received the offer for last year. So the condition is that
Sorry, your voice is not clear, I think.
Hello? Is it okay now?
Yeah, it's so much better. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, what I was saying is that I received an offer from last year and I requested deferral for this year. That's why I was wondering if there's any documents in particular that I need to prepare in order to make me eligible to go this year, because I've already received an approval from the campus and campus itself. So I just wondering if there's any supporting documents that I need to prepare for the upcoming visa process. Thank you so much, Ms. Patricia.
Okay, so as long as you have the document both from the university and both from Tempus that you would be able to start your studies this September instead of last year, I think as long as you submit those, that should be enough for the university. As long as the documents are dated this year and not maybe something quite recent. Let's say you discussed this with the university last September, that would be quite a while ago. So if they still have this confirmation like recently, then that's enough for the application. And if the immigration would like to see any specific document, they would mention it, but we do not think it's a problem at all.
So what I have at the moment is one letter of acceptance from the university, the Stipendium Hungaricum, and also a confirmation letter from the university telling that I will be deferred to this year. So that documents itself will be enough. Would be sufficient, right? Okay.
Yes. Please try to submit with those first, and if the Budapest office for OIF wants to have some extra clarification, they will reach out. But without seeing the documents, I would say that this already sounds sufficient. Okay, let me see the next one.
Thank you so much.
I see the question from Miss Rosida. I think I already emailed with one applicant in this situation. I'm not sure if it was your husband or there are multiple applicants with the same situation. But as long as the school states that they already have a space for your child at their institution, I think the visa can be submitted with that paper. It should be also a student visa application, not a family reunification. And originally, for the other person asking the same via email, we said that we would advise those in this situation to apply for the parent first. So when the child's visa application will be submitted, we can already refer to the ongoing application in our system as well as in our consular comment. Okay. For Michelle from University of Debrecen, yes, if your parents are accompanying you to Hungary for your university registration, they are welcome to apply at the embassy at the same time as you would be applying for your visa. We also had this happening for one other applicant last year, so that is fine with us.
But they allow only for 90 days.
So for Ms. Deborah, so the D visa and the Schengen visa are not the same. Schengen visas are C visas, and they are only making short-term stay in Schengen possible, so less than 90 days within 180 days. So D visa is also called as a national visa. It's completely different from Schengen because it is issued for one member state, making long-term residence possible in that country. But once you have the national visa, you will be able to pick up the residence permit that also, similarly to a Schengen visa, allows you to travel to any Schengen country during the validity period, but only once you have the plastic card issued by the immigration. So once you already have that, that will function as your visa in a way in other countries. So for those who already have a visa in Hungary, already live in Hungary with the residence permit, it is possible to have your visa changed to another purpose in Hungary. Usually the application happens via the Enter Hungary platform, because those who are already having a legal status in Hungary, that's the platform for submitting applications. But if you need further information, you can also visit the local immigration office. They will be able to guide you. But no, you definitely do not need to travel back to Indonesia to apply for a new permit. It's much simpler to just change the category of your permit. For submitting different bank accounts, that's fine. We have very commonly see this because most Indonesian applicants hold multiple accounts. So feel free to submit as many as you wish. For the KTP and financial statement, as well as the Kartu Keluarga, you do not really need to translate it to English, I think. And because the bank statements, the most important part is the numbers. So I think the immigration will be able to understand the balance. And usually we do not have legalization on them as well. For the bank statement, they ask for the bank statement to be issued by the bank and stamped by the bank. So we do not, we have seen that they do not really like printed out copies from online banks because it cannot be verified whether if it's real or not. But as long as it's issued by a bank, it should be fine without any further legalization. And the same goes for the KTP or Kartu Keluarga. How long is the process for the visa? For stipendium awardees, it usually doesn't take long. It's like shortest would be 1 week, sometimes 2-3 weeks. we have seen, especially for those who submitted late July or early August, when the immigration offices are already overwhelmed, for those ones submitting last minute, it might take longer. That's why we want to encourage our students to submit the applications in July if possible, because I think still less applications already submitted because a lot of people are still waiting for their award letters. Okay. For the Mr. Agung from Debrecen, I think if your wife would be traveling together with you, he might as well just come to the visa application with you if it's easier for both of you. And for those who, this is not for this question, but just generally mentioning, we will propose some dates for the group application, but for those awardees who do not find either of the dates fitting, we can also provide separate individual appointments based on availability if you email us. And maybe some of you are based closer to Surabaya. For those applicants, it is also possible to submit via Surabaya. We already briefed VFS that in all cases, the visa application should be free of charge, but they do have a service charge, which is, I think, 200 for each visa application submitted. But other than that, the fees are waived similarly as applying at the embassy. Okay, so for those ones applying from abroad, the list of documents to be submitted is generally the same, but since you are applying from abroad, you would also need to submit a copy of your residence permit in that country. So, because I also received some emails from other applicants not submitting from Indonesia. But generally speaking, the documents shouldn't be different. You can also always refer to the website of the immigration. And for the insurance list, we can later send it to maybe PPI Hungaria, so they can share it into the group chat if that is that might be the easiest way to share it with everybody. Okay, suddenly that's a lot of questions. Sorry, I've just realized that I didn't reply a previous question. Yes, it is possible to borrow your passport during the application. Once we have copied it and you submitted the application, you can, of course, you can borrow your passport if you need to leave the country. And for questions regarding the dormitory address, I believe you most likely will receive a dormitory placement, so you can input the dormitory's address on the form. For the flight ticket section, you just have to mention your planned arrival date to the country, so you do not really need to submit any ticket at the time of your application. If you already buy it, then you can submit it as well. And then the immigration will also see that date you already have to have the visa because you have a paid ticket, but it's not really mandatory. And one thing I want to add here, that let's say that you would arrive, for some reason you want to arrive a bit earlier, like let's say August 15, but your dormitory is only available from August 25. Then for this period, we also ask you to submit an accommodation booking to show that you will actually have a place to live before moving to the dormitory. For those who have passports expiring, yes, it's you wouldn't need to apply for a new passport until your passport is about to expire. And I think for Kaviari Budapest, they actually issue the passports right in Budapest, not how we do, because we just have the passport sent to here from Hungary. So it's much easier with the Indonesian embassy in Budapest. For address change, yes, if you have a new address, you would need to report it to the immigration. So because together with the visa acceptance letter, you will also receive another document. It's a one-page A4 format document containing your address in Hungary with a QR code that you can use when you need to prove your legal address in Hungary. But I think that can be changed fairly simply with filling out a form at the immigration. What currency should the amount of saving be mentioned?
Currency for the amount of saving.
I think it can be USD euro. For
the amount saving is in rupiah, no? Euro, whatever.
Okay, for the question about amount of savings, it can be mentioned in any currency basically, but easiest if you calculate it either Euro, USD, or Hungarian forint, because if you write it in Indonesian rupiah, then the immigration officers will most likely will need to calculate it. So easier if you give them a currency that they know better. For the certificate of employment, it's perfectly fine to have a letter issued by the dean or the international office. So, yeah, they do not need to attach their contract.
Oh, no.
Yes. So no need to attach your work contract.
Just
and
a simple letter from the company.
Yes.
Or if it is still a student, or maybe still like a lecturer, they simply.
So for self-funded students, as we do not really decide applications, it always depends on the regional office, also on the officer checking the case. But what we have seen that since you already have the tuition paid, most likely either have dormitory or an apartment paid, you would need to have a reasonable amount depending on the length of the study. So if it's like a few months, then usually it would be enough to have a few million in Hungarian forints. I think, how much would that be in rupiah for like one semester?
What the amount they
Yeah.
get.
I think usually with even 100 million they accept.
Yeah, 100 million.
We have seen people being accepted with 100 million rupiah already. So you do not need to think in numbers that would be needed for Western Europe. But it really depends on the individual case. For student visas, we very rarely see a refusal, and usually even if there is one, it's because of a misunderstanding. So far since I'm here, every student who applied to Hungary could start their studies without any problems, as long as they submitted every document in time. I think for somebody Jennifer trying to change their passport, renew their passport, I do not think it's a problem that the passport number would be different. You can attach a statement letter mentioning that you recently changed your passport, maybe attach a copy of the old passport as well, showing that it would expire very soon. That's why you are getting a new passport. So for Mas Agung, oh, so your wife already applied via VFS, if I understand correctly?
Yes, that's correct. Already. And consulate won't explain about why she traveled by herself.
Okay, most likely because the application didn't mention anything about you being a scholarship holder.
So maybe I will play consulate with the document of Stipendium Hungaricum and also accepted by university, and also explain she will reply with me as my husband. Is it correct?
Okay. Yes, that would be perfect.
Okay, then we will try both. Maybe she will be accompany also when I travel to embassy to handle process the visa. Thank you, Patricia.
That is fine. As long as we see this clarification and we will know that which application is hers, we will see why is she traveling to Hungary. So that is fine.
Okay.
Thank you for
I will reply because the consulate need my confirmation by tomorrow. Thank you, Patricia.
Okay, we will wait for it. Thank you. Okay, so my colleague would like me to mention something as well, because we will need to scan every single document as we are sending them electronically to the immigration. We kindly ask you not to use a stapler to attach the documents together, because we will need to take it apart anyway as we are scanning every single page. So it's the easiest for us if everything is on A4 size, and preferably no double, no reversible printing.
So,
Okay, Miss Patricia, I just want to a little bit inform you that you request us to make a vote about whether the awardee got the LOA or not. And it's about like 41 people already respond, and 26 already got LOA. However, 15 haven't got their LOA. 15 people.
Okay, so I think we can definitely propose a date for late next week, maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
I can send options in email after this webinar. We will send multiply dates, and you can have a discussion in the group. We were looking at 3 and 4 of July, for example, or 17 and 18 for later, 24 and 25 as well. So because our normal consular opening hours for registration of marriages, passports, so for Hungarian clients is basically Monday to Wednesday. So we would dedicate Thursday and Friday for the stipendium awardees. We will send proposed dates, and you can discuss in the group and get back to us later. And there was something we wanted to add, I think. If there is any awardees from Corvinus University, in the previous years, I think Corvinus was the only Hungarian university that didn't provide accommodation. So I think last year there were already a few Corvinus students who did have the dormitory provided. So for those who are with Corvinus University, please make sure that the LOA would be mentioning whether it comes with a dormitory or not.
Otherwise, they have to provide by themselves.
If not, then we would need the
Accommodation.
accommodation booking.
Okay, thank you very much. I think there's one person from Corvinus University. I hope I will reach to her later. Back again to Asif. Thank you.
Okay, so as far as I could see that there is no further question in this session, then I would like to say thank you to Ms. Patricia and her colleagues for answering all of the questions from our applicants, our participants regarding the application of the visa. So before we go to the second session, we would like to have a picturing session and handing the certificate. Is it correct, Kamel? So,
What is the second session?
okay. So, Kamel, is
Okay,
there
maybe
any
I would like
certificate?
to ask,
Yeah.
sorry, for Rengo or Haikal to take a picture if it's okay. Okay, it's okay. I already take the picture. Thank you very much, Miss Patricia.
Okay.
Thank you. We will also stay here just in case somebody is asking questions later on. So we will be here till the end.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Patricia. So in order to start the second session, regarding to the document translating from the session will be filled by Miss Ardelia. So Miss Ardelia, we would like to invite you to join the screen.
Terima kasih, suara saya kedengeran nggak ya?
Kedengeran.
Oke. Karena saya pakai dua device kebetulan, jadi takutnya nggak kedengeran. Tapi nggak ada suara distraksi ataupun yang lainnya kan ya?
So far enggak sih,
Oke.
Bu Ardelia. Ya, udah jelas kok.
Oke, selamat sore dari Jakarta semuanya. Perkenalkan saya Ardelia, perwakilan dari Universitas LIA untuk menyampaikan tentang jasa terjemahan yang bisa membantu para awardee yang ingin mengurus visa ataupun administrasi untuk ke Hungaria. Sebelumnya saya izin share screen terlebih dahulu ya. Sudah terlihat ya PPT-nya ya?
Sudah, Bu Ardelia.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, teman-teman semuanya. Perkenalkan sekali lagi, saya Ardelia. Salam kenal semuanya. Terima kasih atas kesempatan yang diberikan oleh Ibu Amelia dan teman-teman dari PPIH. Kebetulan PPIH sendiri sudah bekerja sama dengan Universitas LIA untuk jasa penerjemahan. Jadi ketika siapapun yang ingin pergi ke luar negeri untuk melanjutkan
Suaranya hilang.
Iya, Bu Ardelia, maaf suaranya hilang.
Ardelia.
Kemudian di sini saya akan menjelaskan tentang prosedur, harga, pembayaran, kontak, dan contoh surat pernyataan. Untuk prosedurnya sendiri, nanti saya akan memberikan kontak saya yang akan tertera di akhir presentasi dan juga nanti akan saya berikan melalui chat. Jadi teman-teman awardee bisa menghubungi saya terlebih dahulu melalui WhatsApp ataupun melalui email tentang dokumen yang akan diterjemahkan seperti itu. Kemudian saya juga akan menjelaskan terkait harga dan kami kebetulan memiliki sistem down payment. Jadi sebelum teman-teman ingin menerjemahkan, kalian harus memberikan down payment terlebih dahulu kepada kami, tergantung dari jumlah dokumen yang akan diterjemahkan seperti itu. Kemudian setelah itu teman-teman awardee bisa memberikan dokumennya kepada kami melalui surel dan akan diproses maksimal minimal 3 hari kerja gitu, tapi bisa lebih cepat daripada itu. Kemudian kami setelah selesai menerjemahkan dokumennya akan mengirimkan draft hasil terjemahannya melalui surel dan akan menghubungi juga melalui WhatsApp kalau misalnya memang sudah selesai gitu, dan nanti akan direview oleh kalian. Just in case ada kesalahan dari atau typo dari nama, nomor, ataupun yang lain sebagainya. Kemudian setelah sudah tidak ada perbaikan atau tidak ada kesalahan dalam dokumen, saya akan memberikan hasil total pembayaran yang perlu dibayarkan oleh teman-teman. Kemudian juga biaya ongkir yang perlu dibayarkan. Lalu awardee bisa membayar sisa pembayarannya dan mengirimkan buktinya kepada saya melalui surel ataupun WhatsApp, dan kami juga langsung akan memberikan hasil dokumennya dengan mengirimkan juga resinya gitu. Dokumen yang bisa diterjemahkan itu dibagi dua, ada tersumpah dan non tersumpah seperti itu. Untuk tersumpah nanti dokumen itu biasanya legal seperti kartu keluarga, KTP, ijazah, akte kelahiran, rapot, transkrip, dan dokumen-dokumen legal lainnya gitu. Jadi nanti di dokumen tersumpah itu akan ada tanda tangan serta cap dari penerjemahnya seperti itu, dan biayanya itu 200.000 per lembar. Sebagai contoh, semisalnya teman-teman ingin menerjemahkan transkrip, biasanya itu transkrip nilai kan hanya 1 lembar ya gitu. Tapi ketika sudah diterjemahkan itu biasanya menjadi 2 lembar karena formatnya itu bukan format seperti transkrip, tapi dengan format kertas A4 dan juga fontnya Times New Roman dan angkanya itu 12 gitu. Jadi agak berbeda dengan dari dokumen yang asli dan yang diterjemahkan seperti itu. Kemudian ada yang non tersumpah. Untuk non tersumpahnya sendiri ada esai, abstrak, artikel ilmiah, cerpen, cerita bergambar, dan yang lain-lainnya. Ini tidak perlu ada stem dari penerjemahnya, jadi hanya diterjemahkan saja seperti itu. Untuk biayanya sendiri 150.000 per lembar. Ya, dua-duanya untuk biayanya ini 200 dan 150.000 itu per lembar jadi ya, seperti itu, seperti yang saya jelaskan sebelumnya contohnya. Kemudian untuk pembayarannya sendiri bisa dilakukan melalui Bank Mandiri dari Yayasan Lia, dan nomor rekeningnya juga sudah terlampir seperti itu. Ini pembayarannya juga. Terus udah sih, itu aja. Kemudian mungkin saya akan memberikan contoh surat pernyataan ya. Sebentar ya Mas ya. Saya stop share dulu. Berikut contoh surat pernyataan hasil terjemahannya. Jadi teman-teman yang ingin menerjemahkan dokumen, setelah kami sudah berikan draft hasilnya, kalian perlu mengisi surat pernyataan ini untuk mengantisipasi semisal nantinya setelah sudah dibayar ada typo lagi, jadi ini sudah final seperti itu. Ada nama kalian, tipe dokumen yang diterjemahkan itu nanti bisa dilingkari, terus jenis dokumennya apa dan jumlah halamannya yang sudah jadi. Terus nanti di sini ada tanggal dan tahun serta tanda tangan dari kliennya. Seperti itu sih kira-kira. Sekian dari saya. Apabila ada pertanyaan boleh disampaikan melalui sesi ini ataupun nanti saya berikan kontaknya seperti itu. Terima kasih Kak Asif.
Terima kasih Bu Ardelia. Bagi teman-teman yang mau translate dokumen bisa hubungin langsung ke beliau atau memang ada pertanyaan terkait document translation, document translating, bisa ajuin pertanyaan melalui chat box ataupun bisa raise hand juga langsung. Tunggu teman-teman pertanyaannya.
Asli mungkin saya juga mau buat klarifikasi saja ke Bu Ardelia. Tadi itu kan ada per lembarnya itu 200.000, Bu. Apakah itu per lembar jadi atau misalnya dokumen transkrip kan hanya satu lembar gitu misalnya. Tapi ternyata hasilnya setelah diterjemahkan jadi beberapa lembar. Itu hasil jadinya atau sebelum jadinya?
Oh ya, jadi mungkin saya izin langsung jawab aja ya. Kalau case-nya yang seperti contoh tadi, misalnya kan contoh Ibu Amelia kirim ke saya transkrip kan satu halaman ya. Nah itu nanti skemanya adalah Ibu membayar dulu DP sebesar 100.000 dan nanti setelah jadi itu biasanya transkrip menjadi 2 lembar. Jadi bayarnya 200.000 dikali 2. Seperti itu.
Bu Ardelia, boleh nanya?
Iya boleh, silakan.
Oh ya, saya mau kenalkan, nama saya Johannes. Saya mau bertanya tentang nanti kan di translate ya, nanti dikirim file aslinya atau dalam bentuk scanan saja ya? Atau misalkan sudah ada capnya, terus di scan, terus kita print out itu udah legal atau tidak? Atau harus bentuk aslinya ya? Terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih Kak Johannes. Salam kenal sebelumnya. Jadi saya izin jawab ya. Untuk hasil, jadi seperti ini. Skemanya kan ada draft hasil. Jadi draft hasil itu sebelumnya ketika sudah ditranslate, sebelum ditandatangan dan dicap itu akan dikirim ke klien untuk di-recheck terlebih dahulu. Kalau misalnya tidak ada kesalahan terkait typo ataupun lain-lainnya gitu, itu dan Kak Johannes misalnya sudah menandatangani surat pernyataan, itu akan di print out oleh kami dan ditandatangani serta dicap oleh penerjemahnya. Kemudian semisalnya teman-teman awardee atau Kak Johannes sendiri sangat amat membutuhkan dokumen tersebut dalam waktu cepat, itu bisa kami scan terlebih dahulu, nanti kami kirim PDF-nya, baru nanti bisa di-gosen aslinya ke lokasi teman-teman ataupun Kak Johannes, seperti itu Kak.
Tapi berarti kalau bentuk PDF-nya itu sudah legal atau gimana ya? Kalau misalkan dapat scan terus di print, itu berarti sudah official gitu. Nggak apa, walaupun capnya nggak basah. Capnya nggak basah juga nggak apa-apa.
Sudah sih sebenarnya, cuma akan lebih baiknya even kita sudah mengirimkan PDF-nya ke kakak, itu tetap kami kirimkan aslinya gitu. Karena kadang mungkin di beberapa imigrasi ataupun bandara khawatirnya membutuhkan yang cap basah gitu. Kan kalau misalnya PDF-nya kan paling untuk di-upload ke websitenya gitu ya. Tapi kalau misalnya emang mesti ditunjukkan, itu lebih baik tetap kami kirim melalui ekspedisi sih gitu. Kalau misalnya di sekitar Jakarta ataupun masih di Jabodetabek mungkin masih bisa menggunakan GoSend gitu.
Baik, terima kasih.
Sama-sama Kak Johannes.
teman-teman yang lain mungkin masih ada pertanyaan, bisa langsung ditanyain ke Ibu Ardilianya. Oke, saya rasa kayaknya masih belum ada pertanyaan lain. Uh, if there is a case nanti mereka bakal nanya-nanya lagi, we will contacting buat Delia mungkin ya, buat further question. Terima
Boleh
kasih.
banget. Terima kasih banyak semuanya ya. Terima kasih kasih.
Ya, sama-sama Ibu Ardelia. Terima kasih semuanya. Thank you for all of the speakers that filling up our session in this webinar. I would like to close the session, the main session and the second session of our webinar. For the photo session, probably it will going to be lead by Mbak Ais, which is the MC for this webinar. So thank you all for having me in this webinar. I'll see you guys around. Bye.
Oke, terima kasih banyak. Sebelum kita menutup, boleh untuk tag foto bersama dulu.
Oke, teman-teman bisa mungkin menyalakan kamera. Kita foto dulu. Kita
Foto.
ada tiga ya, betul. Iya, ada 3 halaman. Jadi harap sabar dulu. Saya akan memfoto halaman pertama dulu. Mbak Rosida, Miss Patricia, thank you very much for open your camera. I would like to take the picture. 1, 2, 3. Oke, halaman kedua. 1, 2, 3. Halaman ketiga. HK Harum. Terima kasih.
Oke, terima kasih Kak Amel. Puji syukur kita panjatkan atas rangkaian acara webinar pre-departure hari ini yang telah berjalan dengan lancar. Semoga informasi yang disampaikan dapat bermanfaat dan menjadi bekal yang kuat bagi teman-teman awardee dalam mempersiapkan keberangkatan ke Hungaria. Kami ucapkan terima kasih yang sebesar-besarnya kepada narasumber, moderator, dan seluruh peserta yang telah berpartisipasi. Sampai bertemu di webinar berikutnya dalam seri pre-departure. Salam hangat dari kami, PPI Hungaria. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Shanti Santi Om, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Sampai jumpa. Peace on
Yes, talk everyone. Personal.
Terima kasih Mbak Mas semua.
Yeah, peace on Latashra. Peace on Latashra.
Thank you Kak Ai.
Thank you, Miss Patricia, for coming. If you would like maybe say something, or if it's not, I think I will close the Zoom. Thank you very much for everyone who's coming. Mas Ganda, ada mau bertanya lagi?
Yeah. Thank you, Miss Patricia and our new friends, Mbak Amelia.
Yeah, you are welcome.
You.
Okay, I will close the meeting. See you on the next webinar.